Yeah, so I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go? I'm ready to go too. It's been a really long week of lacking sleep and stuff. Anyway, here we are at 5 p.m. Eastern Time with the Tuesday, September 11th. Never forget 9/11. The update on Florence, and there we have a very concentric major hurricane, probably on its way to a 5. See that eye wall developing in what's called the stadium effect around that eye wall. It looks like a stadium bowl inside the eye of the hurricane. Very powerful occurrence of a hurricane here. Very good outflow. You see the little fiber-like clouds hanging out of the storm. That's the cirrus outflow. But very good dynamic engine here. Optimum conditions with the low shear and the very warm SSTs, sea surface temperatures, making this thing a very powerful storm. I think we do get a 5 at some point in the next day, maybe day and a half, as it just goes through these eye wall replacement cycles. In other words, develops the eye, collapses a little bit, reforms, may get a double eye wall structure. But again, this is just an impressive looking system. No matter how you shape it. All right, today's developments were a little bit more interesting. Again, this is a two-pronged system. One will be the storm surge and the the wind-related risk along the North Carolina coast. And that looks like, ooh, that's the wrong map, sorry. Let's get this going into the floater for Florence. The first part will be the storm surge that comes with it, and there we have it making landfall. And you probably can't see that because it's off screen, but there we go. The first part of the storm will be the heavy storm surge and wind for the coast of North Carolina Thursday night. We did have a slowing down of the timing here. This is a little bit slower than the previous runs. Notice it's now going overnight Thursday night into Friday morning. As it approaches North Carolina. But the other big change here was, look at how much it slows down near the coast of Carolina and actually stalls a little bit. That's because we're having this ridge build across North Ohio Valley that changes things around a little bit. In other words, it slows the storm significantly down to where this is going to beat the living daylights out of the barrier islands here. Probably reshapes those islands forever, given the amount of energy with this storm. The other trend today was we are no longer looking up here on the Euro ensemble in terms of the future path. Very good agreement here now, 24 hours out. Let me make that, 24 hours out right here, and 48 hours as we get closer to the coast. But the shift is not really occurring that much. It's still showing Wilmington, North Carolina, but what happens after that now shows a bending to the southwest as it builds a ridge to the north. Let me put this on the paint scheme here so it can actually draw some for you. I'm sorry I'm making this up as I go here. I'm in a bit of a rush. I need to pick up my kid from school and do all that fun stuff single dads do. Let's see, over here. Okay, let me load that up. And we are inside the frame. Okay, so here we are at 24 hours. Here we are at 48 hours. And then notice the slowing down of the system right here as it approaches the coast. This is bad news for North Carolina, Outer Banks, probably inland here. Lots of tremendous flooding across eastern and southeastern North Carolina, all here. Good news for folks up here in Virginia, Northern Virginia. This is looking better as the storm is now forecast to actually bend back to the southwest a little bit in response to what I call the building ridge over here. This is going to be the building ridge up here. That will keep that from keep this from going north, and basically it's acting like a block, if you will, but not a true block. It's just preventing it from going up into this way. All right, thank you. So that's the trend on the Euro today. Very noticeable. Yes, this site is called weathernerds.org. I'm sorry it's called that, but that's what it is. But it's a good site for the short-term time being, and it shows you what I'm looking at. But notice we have a lot of clustering now over South Carolina. This would be that heavy rainfall for North Carolina and South Carolina. Not as much in Virginia anymore, but this would be a very heavy rainfall event in this area right in here. Probably of that 20 to 30 inch rainfall here. in some of the guidance because it's actually slowing the system down. And then by the time it gets here, the winds are collapsing, so the wind risk is decaying, but the wind risk is very high on the coast, but it's decaying in here. But overall, this is a unique trend that the euro is showing, and I want to make sure this is going to be correct. I'm not jumping on board it just yet, but I'm just showing you that's the trend here, that this model is hard to beat under 5 days in terms of its future forecast positioning. So I would put folks like Raleigh, Columbia, and Greenville. Remember I told you to go south the other day? That probably is not a very good idea anymore. So that's amazing how these things come about. But this is a very serious inland flooding situation after the major storm surge along the coast on Thursday night into Friday morning. So things are shifting a little bit more to the south, and let's see what the NHC did. They should have just updated. Yes, they did update. They did host hurricane warnings now in the red. So yesterday I said this is the area that will be under hurricane warnings. That's what they've gone ahead and done. So anywhere from the Virginia-North Carolina border to basically Charleston, South Carolina is now under hurricane warning. And notice that what they've done with the end of the forecast here. They started bending to the southwest. The other day it was up here in Southwest Virginia, then here. Now we've got day 5 position down here. So they are actually sending it more to the south, what the Europeans are doing. They're actually kind of blending what the GFS and the Euro is doing. They're not going with a full Euro solution. The full Euro solution would be down here near Columbia, but they're kind of bending. Blending both models. But up until this point right here, I'm in great agreement. This is a great forecast path here into the Carolinas as a major hurricane. And then once inland, the flooding story becomes a moving target. Yesterday, I was talking about the risk of flooding being up here, with Virginia and northern North Carolina. Today, that is much more of a southerly route. Who is texting me at this hour? So your flooding risk will now be moving into here and possibly into here along its path here. So, generally speaking here, good news for Virginia. That was yesterday's forecast. Notice how it into Virginia, and today's forecast again bending to the south. So the good news for Northern Virginia, D.C., less risk there. Bad news, but good news for someone means bad news for somebody else, and that means your North Carolina, South Carolina is now at risk for a major flood this weekend. So two-phased storm. One will be the major hurricane along the coast, and 2 will be the raining out of that hurricane inland this weekend. Again, more people live in this green area right here than they do live along the coast. So who's more at risk? The folks along the coast are going to see storm surge and wind damage, or the folks that are going to see flood risk and flood damage. And if you've ever been in a flood, it's not a pretty situation. All right, that's all I have for today. I got errands to do. I'll be in touch, so you are in the know and you know what to do.